Call the Operations Committee together for November 13th. We'll start with a prayer by State Representative Ed Butler, and then we're going to have special pledge of allegiance by Mr. Trevor Keith Copeland that I met Saturday morning at the Veterans Breakfast.
If you would, please stand. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the opportunity to come here in a free country, Lord. I pray that you give the commissioners here and the folks in this room in leadership positions the wisdom to make the decisions that would be in accordance with your word. Lord, I pray that you give the folks the wisdom that they need to make those decisions tonight, and that you give the citizens the opportunity to speak if they've got words to speak, Lord. We ask you to bless this meeting in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I met Mr. Copeland, like I said, Saturday morning at the Veterans Breakfast. And he did such a good job presenting himself and found out how interested he is, especially like in World War II and in veterans. And I think it's phenomenal at his age he's got such an interest. But thank you. Okay. Next is the approval of agenda.
Motion to approve. Second. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to add an item from, just for discussion, from the Fire Commission meeting we had last night. I've got copies I can hand out as well. If that's all right, I'd like to add it, and I'll be happy to put it wherever you'd like on the agenda.
You want to put it under new business?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Is everybody okay with that?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next appearance of citizens. Have any citizens like to appear before this committee? Seeing none, we'll move on. Update on Highway 16, State Representative Ed Butler.
Thank you for allowing me a moment to speak on Highway 116, and I think most people in the room are aware that we've gotten the truck restriction completed. And I spoke with TDOT today to make sure I had the most up-to-date information to present before this committee tonight, and they are a little behind on making signs and getting those signs installed due to the hurricane and so forth that they've had over in East Tennessee. And so I talked to Region 1 Director Steve Borden this morning, and they are about another week and a half, possibly 2 weeks out to get those signs physically installed. He thought they would have them done but before the end of the month, which would be right before Thanksgiving. So I do want to give that update. I am grateful that we've gotten that done, and I appreciate the committee's patience. The wheels of government do move, but they move very slow. And so I know that was a big concern for Chairman's district over in Briceville, and I'm grateful that we've been able to get that done in the last few months. Glad to answer your
Mr. Butler,
question.
can you tell what the restrictions are?
The restrictions will be for a 35-foot semi-trailer. That will be the maximum length. It'll be the exact same truck restriction that's on the Dragon, which is Highway 129. And the trouble, as I understand everything, has been 53-foot trailers have been a tremendous problem over there. And some of those turns, it's difficult to navigate a car down through there, much less a 53-foot semi. So that restriction, once it goes into place, I do want to mention that THP will do about a 2-week warning period. So they will patrol the road, probably pretty heavy with their commercial motor vehicle unit, and write warning tickets the first 2 weeks, because there are some trucks that may or may not be aware. I did specifically talk to Steve this morning about the intersection at Highway 330 in Oliver Springs, because once you turn left or right onto Highway 330 in Oliver Springs, there is no turning around before you get to 116, unless you actually made a T-turn at 330 and 116. So I've asked them to install signs both directions there to let the trucks know once you make a right-hand turn onto 330, there's nowhere to turn around. The ticket that's issued by THP would also, the Anderson County Sheriff's Office would be able to also enforce that same truck restriction. So Sheriff Barker would be able to put road deputies up there and then also enforce that. And in addition to those things, the GPS and navigation systems will be updated to show Highway 116 as a truck-restricted route. So that in itself should help keep the trucks. And if they're, at that point, if they're still traveling that road, they're doing it intentionally. Because that will keep all of these trucks that are mapping out deliveries and so forth from using that as a cut-through. Now, it doesn't affect a truck that is making a delivery on 116. I've had some questions on that, or log trucks. If their destination is on Highway 116, they are authorized to be there. But there's not a lot of places I see being the need for delivery through that stretch of highway. And that is a truck restriction, not only for the Anderson County, but for the Morgan County side of it. So that's all 42 miles of Highway 116.
I guess one of the most important things, this question I've been asked, is about the people that log over there for a living, so they'll be able to continue
Yes, sir.
what they're doing.
They'll be able to continue logging. There again, it goes back to if they've got a destination that they're logging timber off a section of 116. Now, they'll be subject to the THP restrictions and other guidelines and laws, but they will not be given a ticket for being on 116 if they're logging on 116.
Okay. If you don't mind, go over how this thing happened, and it really happened very expeditiously with the mayor getting everybody together up there one Saturday, I think was back in April.
It was in April. We had, I think I talked to you, I talked to the mayor, and I was able to get TDOT to come up there. Steve Borden and one of his other staff members came. He came personally, which I greatly appreciate him coming. And also THP had 3 officers there. And we listened to the community. I think we had 75 or more folks show up to that town hall meeting. And then, of course, there's been a Facebook page that was started. And after we had our meeting, that's what got the the study, it's a truck restriction study that has to be completed. That's kind of what started that process. And I'll be honest with you, I stayed on them pretty hot and heavy.
Yeah, you did.
To keep the pressure on them. And then the Facebook page, and I'll give a credit to the folks that live over there, when they would post a picture on that page of a truck on top of a car, I was taking those pictures and sending them to THP and sending them to TDOT so that they realize the gravity of this situation. This was a serious safety concern. I mean, there were several trucks, cars, both that were run off the road. There's pictures of a car under the side of a truck where he was making a turn and the car had nowhere to go. And so fortunately nobody was killed. And that's one of the reasons I think we were able to get this study done, completed, and then satisfy what we wanted to do, which was put a truck restriction on that road. So I think it's a perfect example of the way government is supposed to work. You know, the community came to the county commission, the county mayor, y'all came to the state, and then we stepped in and said, hey, we've got to do something about this. This is a serious concern. Our constituents are concerned about their children on buses and their own lives as they travel that road. And so I think it's an excellent example of the way government is supposed to work.
There's also members of the Anderson County Sheriff's Department there as well.
Well,
That was involved in the
when
meeting.
we did the sign presentation, just kind of as a, you know, we had several members from the Anderson County Sheriff's Office, and you're right, Sheriff Barker wasn't there, but he had several individuals at that town hall meeting representing the Sheriff's Department. So it's been a community effort and a local leadership, and then of course your state leadership. And so together we were able to solve this problem. And
That's the way it's
I'm
supposed
happy
to
to
work.
announce that we've got, it took us 3 or 4 months or 5 months, but we are successful, and those signs will be up at the end of this month, and then enforcement will go into place, and by Christmas time, they'll be writing tickets.
Mr. Butler, we appreciate your time. I don't know if anybody's got any questions for our state rep while he's here.
You said the GPS have been updated.
Well, I don't know if it's been updated as of this moment, but once those truck restriction signs go up, then it is technically a truck restricted road. Although the truck restriction has been signed at a state level, once the signs go up, then it's enforceable. And so I don't know where there may be a small gap in the GPS. Even if there is a gap in the GPS and it's not in, let's just say it's not updated for 3 weeks and they're on that road, they're still gonna get a ticket. I mean, and I understand the grace period. I don't necessarily disagree with that grace period. But after that grace period's over, I asked THP to drop the hammer.
The reason I ask, we've got county roads that have the signs up already restricting, but I've encountered two truckers myself that said, this is what my GPS said. You know, so if there's a way to update that GPS, I need to know how we do it for county roads. I don't know how.
That I don't know.
I mean, I was told that there's a GPS that's free, and then there's one that
Yes.
is for truckers, but the one that for truckers, they have to pay for it. It's a monthly fee, and the one that's free doesn't do anything about restrictions, so it's,
I can't speak to the county roads, and I even tried, after we had our first meeting in April, to have a computer guru get a truck restriction put on there, and you can't do it unless it's been done, you know, through the state. The state has to do it. We tried to get just let folks know, to let truckers know. Well, it didn't do any good. I mean, we were still getting 40 trucks a day up through there.
yeah.
So once it's gone through the state, then it updates the GPS, and TDOT has a play in part of that. They help implement those navigational restrictions.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
I think although it is a county road, but I think our new elected state representative, Rick Scarborough, that's his district. Maybe he could work with you and, you know, you can have him meet up with the people that you know and see if we can do something about that.
And I don't care to do that. You got my curiosity up, really. How do you put a true truck restriction on a county road?
Right.
Because in some cases, one of the requirements for a truck restriction is having alternative routes.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, I don't know what those alternative routes were, because my objective was to get the truck restriction put on 116. But I think most of the trucks that are traveling 116 are using it to bypass the scale house in Knoxville.
We had a 53-footer that took out the Johnson Gap Road Bridge.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was, GPS had sent him that way, but the damage to that bridge, and then with the railroad company, the one to replace it, we were out like 6 months without a bridge, you know, so.
That's something I'll be glad to look into and see what we can do to possibly, I'm not sure that that you can do that on a county road, but I'll be glad to see what we can do to find out if that's possible, and if so, what do we need to do to do it?
I think as long as they're not farm-to-market roads, you know, we're in good shape to put the restrictions on it, but I don't know how you upgrade the GPS, that's my concern.
I was looking on gps.gov, and so it has listed, it's saying go to the individual sites and report it as an error for them to update and put those restrictions so that it pulls up on the map. And I'll send that list to you if you want me to.
Please.
Okay.
Mr. Butler, let the folks at home know what all areas you cover. I know it's District 41, but it's quite a wide
So
area.
District 41, I live in Overton County, and if you're familiar with that is, that's above Cookville. And so I live about 20 minutes north of Cookville. And so I have Overton, Morgan, half of Fentress, Oliver Springs area of Roane County, and the northern part of Anderson County, of course, Norris and Briceville, Andersonville, New River, that areas. So I have a very, very long district, very stretched out.
We sure appreciate you driving all this way just to come to this
Absolutely, that's
operations
what we're here
committee.
for.
Any other questions?
Just like I said, thank you. Thank you to the commissioners, mayor, and Representative Butler. I know in your mind it might have been slow, but in my mind it's pretty quick for the state to do what you did. And I like what you said about listening to the people. That's what it's all about. I appreciate those comments.
Well,
And thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate those kind words, and it really is. It's an example of the way the government's supposed to work.
Amen, brother.
Constituents come to their leadership comes to state, and then we step in and hopefully help solve the problem.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is the mayor's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just have one action item that I'm requesting. This is a resolution requesting the Tennessee General Assembly allocate 1/2 of the real estate transfer tax to the county, where the county was collected on a recurring basis. So the state of Tennessee has a 37 cents per $100 of value for the privilege of recording documents. This tax is collected locally, but it is remitted to the state of Tennessee. but it is not shared with the localities. So, what we are requesting, this was an initiative of the County Mayors Association. We're requesting that 50% be returned to the county where it was collected. And this was also a discussion at the Tennessee County Services Association meeting, and I know a lot of our county commissioners were there and heard about this. And just for some perspective on what the amount we're talking about, so the 4-year average in Anderson County for collections is $2,321,403.25. So you look in fiscal year '21, we collected a little over 1.7 million, and with all that's gone on in the economy, those numbers have gone up. And in fact, last year the collection was 2.765 million in Anderson County. So if the Tennessee General Assembly did return that, and as you all know as commissioners, there are very few areas to get revenue other than tapping back into the property tax payers again. And so this would be a way to help fund some of the needs for local government. If we were able to receive 50%, that number based on a 4-year average would be $1,160,000, and $701. And if you look at our approximate value on the tax rate for a penny, it's 200,000. So we're looking at almost 6 pennies on the tax rate, which could do a lot for Anderson County. It could help our departments. It could help fund some of the capital needs that we may have, or other items that you all as commissioners would want to fund. So that's what this resolution is about, and I'm just asking if you would be willing to approve it, just to be able, you'll see at the bottom, it authorizes our county clerk to certify a copy if it is approved and be able to distribute this to the Tennessee General Assembly.
Motion to approve resolution 24-11-1189.
Motion by Commissioner Yeager, seconded by Commissioner Foster. Any discussion?
Yes, I have a question. Well, not a question, it's more of a comment. This helps offset some of the unfunded mandates that's been handed down to us over the years. I don't know if the price is even, but it's a start.
I think you're correct. I mean, as we discussed last month at Budget Committee, we have a new one with the electronic monitoring that has some requirements. I mean, that's a good example. So, yes, sir. That's an excellent point.
One other question. Have you guys, the County and Mayors Association, have you gotten any feedback on, I mean, it sounds like everybody's on board for this at the county level. Obviously, we got to get the legislators on board, but have you gotten any good, have y'all had any feedback from organizations?
Not yet. They're just now having budget hearings, and I know you can go online and watch some of those, but we've not had a lot of conversations with legislators yet, so.
Thanks.
We should have asked Ed while he was.
Yeah. Get back in here.
Oh. Any other comments or questions? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous. Mayor, before we go to the next thing,
Yes, sir.
can you give us an update on Highland Communications? And I spoke to some people from New River, and they've got some Wi-Fi over there, some internet, but I don't think it's going all the way over the mountain yet.
Okay, I don't have, I got an update about a month and a half ago, so I don't have anything more current. I can get something more current for Monday night's commission meeting.
It'd be great.
At that time, they had started doing installs in the grant area for Anderson County. The president indicated to me that they were working on their first installs, and they had about 30 orders so far for the area. So I can get something a little more current and get some more updated numbers where they are, but they're well on their way. Comcast and their grant areas, they are still, so I thought I brought that. I thought I brought something, but Comcast is still not looking to start construction until 2025. So initially, they had talked about getting that done this year. They were doing, whatever boots on the ground they had to do for preparation, and then they had indicated that they were gonna start construction this year, and that did not happen. My latest contact with them was, they did a lot of work during this hurricane, getting a lot of that back, up to speed and all of that, connection back. But the representative did say that they would start in the beginning of 2025.
That's great.
So,
That's great. I know the people that do have it over New River, it's affected their business, enhanced their business greatly.
good,
So,
that's good
Yeah,
news.
that's good news.
Yes.
Anything about drinking water in New River area?
So I did present an update, a status update to Budget Committee, based on the referral from Operations. I was not able to, align my schedule with when, Robert Campbell's folks and the folks from the, Aqua Clear were able to be out there. But Robbie, Director Holbrook, and Deputy Director Randy Walters did meet them on site, and we got some quotes. There still is a desire from Mr. Phillips and those that were at the meeting on site to have water lines. So we are getting an updated estimate from Robert Campbell and Associate on that cost. And then I've also reached out to ACWA. One of the things about the Aqua Clear system is that you do have to have someone with the ability to maintain it. And so I've reached out to the Water Authority for that inquiry that, from Mr. Clowers and his board. So, so I did put that in the Budget Committee packet with those costs,
Okay.
so.
Are we still maybe looking at drilling the well and running lines, having a,
So they had a particular, apparently this company does some well work on the other side, and the Morgan County side that works well. That's what we have quotes for. So I guess it'll be, I mean, that's not necessarily that expensive. I did talk to Mr. Brooks, which I've got to get him those estimates, but we did have a conversation to make sure that we can actually pay for that ourselves. I know that Mr. Burge was not able to be at that meeting, but he is willing to donate some property
right,
if necessary. So.
Anything else for the mayor? I've got one thing that, and I saw it in the news this morning, is that there is legislation out there to be approved nationally that would rescind the 501c3 tax exempt status. Have you seen that?
No,
or
I have
know anything
not.
about it? I saw that in the news this morning. Have you seen it? Yeah. That would affect a lot of people, a lot of organizations, if they repeal the tax exempt status. But I just seen that scrolling across early this morning.
I will look
And I
into
thought, I
that.
haven't heard anything about that, so.
I don't think it was all of them. There were some, I read a little bit about it, but it was for ones who violate certain rules or whatever.
Okay.
But it's not gonna be every 501c3.
Yeah, because I couldn't see Congress or
No.
the Senate repealing something like that. There had to be more to it, but I just seen the scrolling lines across it and didn't have time to research it today, so. Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
Absolutely.
Strategic planning update.
The only thing I got to add for that is, I sent out an email to everybody over the weekend asking about Fridays in January. So if you can just respond back, I've heard back from a few people, just so we can kind of get something scheduled, but still looking at January. Also, maybe February 7th is another date. I know some people can't do the last Friday of January, so that would still be before the budget starts in February. So just wanted to throw that out there. That's all I've got on yet. So
Okay.
still trying to finalize a date.
All right. Any questions or anything about that? Unfinished business. Okay, to new business, Commissioner Wandell.
Yes. Hey, Commissioner, can you pass that down and give slide one down to the mayor and Bob director there.
Thanks, sir.
While these are being passed out, we had a fire commission meeting last night, well attended. This came out of the meeting. I want to say thank you to the mayor for helping with the state coming into the county, and we had some good meetings there and learned a lot. And I did attend the Mission CIT meeting for about 2 hours with them on the county-wide fire study, so that was kind of interesting. But a couple things come out of the meeting last night. The first one is, Mr. Chairman, there's been some discussion and around the table, and there was a motion made to request a letter of support be sent to the state for a regional state fire academy to be located in Anderson County. We would like, many of them would like to see that located in the District 4 area to help promote some jobs and things of that nature. As it stands right now, one of the things that came to our mind is in that meeting with Mission CIT, who's doing the county-wide study, asked, does everybody go to Bell Buckle, Tennessee, Murfreesboro for training? And of course, the answer is yes. So there's only one facility for all that training in Middle Tennessee. So we thought it'd be appropriate just to kind of throw this out here. This is just a simple discussion item. We're not demanding anything, but we felt like if you don't ask, you don't receive. So I think it's a good time. If you got any questions, basically, again, it's just asking that we send this to the state as long as the commission approves of it. I don't know if you want to send this to another committee before, or I'm not advocating we send it to the commission meeting Monday. I don't think there's enough time for everybody to look it over, and it probably needs to be improved too. It's just a draft letter is all it is. It's just an idea.
Okay, I think it's a great idea. Commissioner McCamey, are you familiar with the flats in Briceville? You know where that's at? I can see that being a perfect location for that. Yeah.
You know, obviously, if it could happen, it would keep the hotels full and give some opportunity for that area, even come into Clinton, I think, too. So just a thought there.
Oh, yeah, that'd be a good anchor, I think, for the area. I appreciate you and appreciate the Fire Commission for doing this and thinking that it should be in District 4. We really appreciate that.
Tracy, I noticed one of our fire departments said they were no longer going to provide first responder services.
Yes.
Is there anything that we can do to restore that?
Good question. It's something we talked about last night, and I'll have it in the report for our Monday meeting. And I'll probably request that we put the Fire Commission report on the agenda so we can talk about it. But to answer your question, the Chief Lane spoke about it, and of course, Chairman Isbell's on the board. They're still working towards it. Obviously, they just didn't have the resources. Again, I feel like something like this, not me, but the full Fire Commission, all the chiefs felt if we can get this located in Anderson County, it would help recruit some. And then some other ideas we have down the line and is to, we got to start feeding our volunteer fire departments. It's no secret, it's been that way for 100 years. And every time I'm in a meeting, I think of Commissioner Doug Hahn, because you know, he spent a lot of time dealing with this. But I feel like in the school system, we should have, you know, some training for our emergency responders, for those kids that might want to start off in that area versus going to technical school or a college. They may want to go in that area, but I feel like the schools, we ought to team up and make that happen, whether it's through our vocational schools or TCAT. I know the mayor would help in any way she can. She's been instrumental in trying to look at different ideas with fire and how we can better it. So same thing with this county-wide fire study. I appreciate that. I didn't like it at first because I didn't understand what was going on, but I clearly understand we're trying to strengthen everything. So I'm confident Chief Lane and the board, I think they're going to get to a point. I did hear Assistant Director Scott from EMS. He said that there's no issues. I mean, if they get qualified and they want to get back into the program, they can. Because I asked, well, is it a mark against them or something? And he said, no, not, absolutely not. So there was some good discussion last night, healthy discussion. I mean, we had some good discussions.
Well, I know, the agreement we had with the fire truck resolution, we don't have a resolution anymore.
We talked
So
about that too.
None of the volunteer fire departments are required, you know, to provide that service now, and I didn't know if it was just a financial thing with them or if it was manpower.
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 Manpower, absolutely manpower. And no one in the meeting indicated that they weren't gonna provide emergency services because there wasn't, a truck resolution. But you're correct. I think, back when the truck resolution was established, I think you educated me on this, I've heard you say it before, and it said in there that in lieu of being provided a truck to the volunteer fire departments and municipalities, you would provide that EMR service and be qualified, and that, you're correct.
No, and the reason why the Medford's had to stop doing it is because the guy that did it, Joe Gillum, got hurt,
Yes.
and he's been in rehab, so we just don't have anybody. So, and if anybody knows, I've had 8 accidents right there in front of my shop in probably the last 16 months. Some of it's been pretty drastic. He's always the first one there because he's local. But they just want to get the word out that, you know, we don't have anybody right now at the present time. But I did talk to Chief Tony Braden from City of Rocky Top, and if it happens during the day, you know, he's on call through mutual aid. But still yet, I think every community needs to have that first responder. So
Right.
whatever we need to do, I mean, it's very beneficial.
Yeah.
Has there been any update on the retirement, that
It's-
we were offering, or are they enrolled, or pretty
There's
much
a
universal
few that's
enrollment now?
enrolled, and Mayor, again, she helped spearhead this. I think some have gotten involved, but I don't think many, and Mayor can speak to it better than me, but they're not opposed to it, but I think that process, you know, for instance, let's just take Chief Ambria, for instance. She's gonna step aside, stay active, but there's a new chief coming in. Her point, and it was a good point, she's been active for many years, and now she's gonna step away. Well, that program don't help her. So another idea we had, and again, I got all this stuff in the minutes when we get to it, and I don't mean to get off course, Mr. Chairman, but some of the other ideas are, can we offer a property tax reduction for volunteer firefighters that have helped protect this county? Could we consider that? I'm not advocating free, I'm just advocating, could we consider some type of reduction that would be used as an incentive for thanks for what they've done? And again, there's nothing laid out. We talked about a lot of different things. So, Mayor, do you have any updates on that?
No, I think they, I mean, I know it's going to take a little bit of record keeping for some of the departments. And definitely, we've heard this, I mean, I think the state folks have heard it statewide too. Really the folks that are doing the record keeping have been there, they've been involved, and there is no way, and this body actually, I think you all did a motion to try to compensate them for years past, and under the law, there was no way to do that. So I think if we can get maybe just one, I know Bryce has been working with some of the departments, if we can get one to just maybe get off the ground and, you know, see how it works. I think, you know, it's kind of like anything else. I mean, you all are busy, I'm busy, and adding something new to an already busy schedule is just is a challenge. And so it's no real fault of theirs, it's just learning something new in order to make it be impactful. So Bryce is working with some of them, and we're gonna try to get one of them off the ground, but not yet. We haven't got anybody off the ground yet.
I know that meeting that some of us attended last week, there was a lot of information that came out of that I wasn't aware of, especially like some of the things you sign up for, you know, if you die in the line of duty, you know, there's an insurance that will help your family for so many years to get going. So we need to make sure that everybody signed up for that. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff came out.
Yes.
And I asked the one guy if he'd come to operations, maybe, you know, do a shorter presentation.
The mayor set that up, and I can't thank her enough. Most information I've ever seen in my political whatever on fire ever. And
Oh,
it
it's
was just, it was, blew me away.
Yeah,
Yeah, my mind couldn't quit spinning. It was just amazing.
yeah, there's a lot of
Yeah, yeah,
information
yeah.
to take in.
So I appreciate the mayor doing that.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate them, and I learned so much. There was just
Well,
so
you asked some good
I
questions, too.
thought I knew, quite a bit, what the state did, but that was just mind-blowing.
Yeah.
It was really good.
And they seem to be friendly to the county, and I love the fact, and we kind of talked about this after the meeting, that they called out Briceville and requesting they put in the
grant.
request for the grant.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you don't
Yeah.
normally see that.
That's a $10 million grant. that's
The
out
the
there.
fund is 10
The
million.
fund is 10 million, yeah.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of good things going there. Mayor, if you don't mind, Chairman,
Go right ahead.
how do you feel about this first letter of recommendation for the potential of locating, and I understand it's a major uphill battle challenge, but would you be willing to help us spearhead this, just a letter request?
Yeah, I guess my only question is, I'm not familiar with what the Volunteer Educational Incentive Program and Equipment Grant is. I mean, is that the state of Tennessee, or what is
Yes,
that?
so, the assistant chief, I always forget his name, from Oak Ridge, he shows up, might be, I always wanna call him.
Travis Solomon.
What's
Chief
that?
Solomon?
Travis Solomon.
No, he's the chief, but the assistant chief, but,
Is it Jody Durham? No?
I'm the chairman, and I'm bad with names. I called, Chief Lane, Chief Allen last night, and that didn't go over too well. But I'm bad with names, so I can see your face, but just forgive me for that.
know half our names, right?
Yeah, there you go. I don't know mine, but no, he was on commission, Mayor, apparently at the state level,
Okay.
and doing something, and apparently he brought this idea up before, and it kind of just fell on deaf ears because nobody really wants to upset the apple cart, I guess, in Middle
Right.
Tennessee. But he thought using a letter of recommendation to kind of suggest it, to get it out there. And then, as you notice, he suggests doing one in West Tennessee, but there is a fund there. So the $600 to get reimbursed for our firefighters, I asked the guys and gals last night, who here utilizes that? Well, I think Medford does, and maybe a couple others, but there wasn't many. That's already state law that put in place, but they say it's so cumbersome to do the paperwork to get to 600, sometimes it just,
Right.
some do, some don't. But it comes out of that fund, Mayor, and that's what he cited here.
Okay.
And he said there's money for that, quite a bit of money, and then there's another pot of money too.
I guess my only 2 cents would be maybe if we could just adjust that language just a little bit
Oh,
to,
Mayor, it's open.
just to say, like, one possible idea. I mean, I don't want to put them in a box, like, if they don't want to take it from that pot, then they turn down our idea.
Oh.
And so maybe just put
That's-
like one possible idea is to
That's-
generate some funds.
That's why I say draft, and
Yep.
I would be,
But otherwise, I'm all for it, and I'm happy to get to work on it.
would it be okay, Mr. Chairman, if I made a motion to allow the mayor to pursue this letter of recommendation and have her draft it and bring it back to the operations committee or whenever she has availability?
We'll have a second by Commissioner McCamey. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous.
Thank you. Then the second thing is probably, and Mayor, maybe you're aware of this, but there's been some concern, according to the Fire Commission members last night, about going code white and not going code white, when we should go code white. There's been a lot of concern with, how that process is initiated or not initiated. And so that opened up the discussion of, could we take the E911, or the dispatch rather, and move it under E911 to let it run, under that group, instead of having our sheriff's department manage that piece. I think it's, and again, my understanding is the sheriff was open to that. I haven't spoken to the sheriff. I don't know that, but I think it would help solve a lot of issues for our county. And the main thing, the liability issue, we'd like to see, and it's no one's fault. As you say, you're correct, Mayor, everybody's busy. And I think the fellow from E911, he wasn't upset. He said he just thought it would work better and he'd be up to the task. And So we passed a motion to have that letter of support as well.
Anything else? I've got one thing I'd like to ask this committee, and I should have asked to put it on the agenda, but Monday night, I would like to recognize the sheriff's department for, we had a string of burglaries in District 4, and all the business, a lot of businesses on 25W was hit one night, and then the neighborhoods, and my neighborhood of 25, I mean, there's 18, and they worked really expeditiously, I mean, just night and day to put an end to it. So there've been some people arrested, and hadn't had any more, but, I mean, they did a great job. So I'd like to add that to recognize them, if that's possible.
Need a motion?
Yes.
No, I'll make a motion to recognize the Sheriff's Department as stated.
Seconded by Commissioner Foster. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passed unanimous. Okay, without anything else, Mayor, have you got something, or?
Were you asking for a?
Well, yeah, I'd like to take these are the two items that I brought that the Fire Commission would like some consideration on, and, you know, I don't know, I'm not an expert at it, but I believe that if we were able to get it back over into, and I may be saying it wrong, Mayor, is it E911?
Yeah, yeah.
But if we could get it back over there, move the budget back over there and let it operate as E911, I think that would be what the Fire Commission would like to see, if this body would consider.
Well, I guess my 2 cents is, first of all, I'm an advocate for consolidation and have been, but there's some, you know, numerous different issues. So we have, in Anderson County, Clinton has their own dispatch, City of Oak Ridge has their own dispatch. Currently, the sheriff has been, and you all have approved those memorandums, bringing in Rocky Top, bringing in Norris. There is, you know, you agree to some charges for that, so that those charges are paid into Anderson County. It's on a contract basis. And then I think Oliver Springs is, I think they started maybe today or yesterday.
That is correct. We talked
Okay.
about that last night.
So, I'm for this in concept, and I guess my only caution would be just, you know, maybe the wording is just, you're in support of it, and because it's gonna take many different approvals, from MOUs to funding.
How about
and-
this, if you would be open to this? Could I make a motion to send it to budget and let that discussion start there?
What?
And you head it up. I mean, I want you to know that this is just draft letters. No one's saying it's gotta be verbatim. It's just to get the idea started.
I mean, I think it's fine coming out of here and just saying, you know, if you all support consolidation,
Well-
and maybe you just add one more sentence that says, and, you know, and recognize, you know, that you'll collaborate as you walk forward in the process, that basically this isn't just an authorization to.
Correct.
this. I mean, I know there's gonna be stuff that Mr. Brooks needs to look at. The question of who, you know, 911 is a different entity under law because they receive, communication taxes in order to, pay for equipment. And so, once you shift those employees under 911, they're not county employees. Can they be county employees? I don't think they
Good
can
point.
be, because they're independently audited and all of those things, under the law. And those are things that I'm not an expert on, that Mr. Brooks would need to look at. But I certainly think that it is very meaningful. It would support 911's continued discussions about this. They've voted to do this, in concept. I think they're kind of walking through that process.
Okay.
So I think there's value as long as you just have a little qualifier in there. Nobody thinks that
How about
they're showing up with this document
Right,
that, hey,
right,
it's
right.
done.
No, they don't want that either.
Yeah.
No, so how about a motion to allow the mayor to pursue the idea of the consolidation of this entity and let her report back to the operations? Would that be okay, Mayor? That way we're not.
Sure. I mean, that's fine.
That's general enough for me to second.
Yeah, I take it as a compliment there.
Vague enough. Just vague enough.
All right, any discussion on the motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous.
Thank you all, and appreciate the opportunity to put it on the agenda.
Hey, that's what we're here for. You know, it's all about discussion and transparency for the public. I appreciate everyone being here tonight, and have a great Thanksgiving. Well, we'll see each other Monday.
See you on Monday. Also, have a good Thanksgiving.